I'm Christine Kydd. I'm a singer from Scotland. I started off as a self-taught folk singer, but I was also in the school choir. From the most formal thing that I've done is advanced diploma in voice studies, a postgraduate qualification from Central School of Speech and Drama in London. So from there and round about that time I was working in theatre and also as a folk and traditional musician in Scotland. So I have a combination of learned skills that I've taught myself and also some formal skills from educational establishments. I'm studying a master's in ethnology and folklore. I work with children of all ages and people of all ages in different ways using songs, and my experience is mostly personally at the moment is with older choirs, so people from their 30s onwards or maybe 20s. So I think I can see some of those people as being, in fact I'm told that people who come to choirs, who are also teachers, actually sometimes take the songs, particularly the songs about Scottish culture or songs of themes, they take them into school and use them with their children. And I have heard quite a lot of people say that they've taught them to their own children or to their grandchildren. So there seems to be anecdotal evidence that that can work from the top down with adult singers learning songs that they've never known before. And I'm pretty sure that there are some other choirs in Scotland where people give teaching CDs or teaching tapes, which are then heard by the whole family. I would love to see people who are involved in choirs coming into school. I think that logistically is quite tricky. Certainly in Scotland, everybody who comes into school has to have special documentation to say that they're okay to come into school, and so that gets quite tricky for us. But it's not impossible, and I would love to see that sort of thing happening, making those connections between older singers and younger singers. I think with youth, I think things have to be approached in a slightly different way in our culture, and one way that we have done that is just take some songs, let the young people hear the songs and say, okay, you play guitar or you play this, why don't you arrange this song the way that you like to hear it with your influences? And that's the way that we work with a lot of our material. So it's actually encouraging a lot of creativity and a lot of ownership. So I guess if there are, if you've got a choir arrangement, a choral arrangement of something, why not say, look, this is the arrangement, here's some of the notes, take it and make it your own.
Your own song.
Sorry?
Your own song.
Make it your own song, yes. Maybe with your own rhythms, with your own pulses, with your own arrangements. Because at least with the choral arrangement, somebody's already really thought about the notes, haven't they? And they say, well, maybe you don't like that. Maybe you don't like that line. Maybe you'd like to put a little crunchy harmony in there. Maybe you'd like to do that differently.
Yes.
So I think it's not an easy question, but it's interesting.
Yes.
I suppose the question is whether you just continue with your own practice and create quality experiences for children in hearing clear, healthy singing, and whether that's the model that you pursue, or whether you look at the other sound acts that are around, if you like maybe pop song and all the other information that the sound information that children are experiencing now. And I think that, again, it's a difficult question. There's something to be said for just getting on with what you do, but I could see that linking in with music that children are familiar with is a good way of going. I think the downside of that is that if those sound acts, if you like, if that information is all from popular culture, you run the risk of very quickly going out of date because pop song culture moves very quickly. Mm-hmm. And although there's a lot of very, very good quality popular music, if the reason for working with popular music is to make it trendy, then you may find that that's, making resources and all sorts of stuff, it's going to be difficult because it's going to be out of date very quickly. Okay. So I can see that would be a problem about it. Mm-hmm. Well, for the traditional songs, no, often they don't know them at all. And so we are trying to present the songs in a way that's interesting to them. And because of that, that's why we start with songwriting. Before the treasure hunt, before the Great Scots Song Treasure Hunt, we always started with songwriting because the children immediately have ownership. They go, this is our song. They don't care whether it's traditional or not. We're delighted that they're using traditional tunes, and maybe they're using a traditional tune of their area, which we know. They don't necessarily know that. We tell them later on.
Yes, okay.
So we're kind of just making resonance. It's not particularly, I don't think, well, maybe it is didactic, but we're just resonating with the children in song.
That's a nice idea.
Mm-hmm. So it's not, and we try not to be worthy about it because it has to be interesting to them. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that in some areas of Scotland, traditional music is very trendy, but not all. And even when it wasn't trendy, we were still finding that the songwriting was working as a way of getting in, because immediately they're doing something. Of course, we use a lot of physical movement, arm and hand movement and ideas, imagination, but we're also doing this is our song, we make this song. And the other reason why we do that is because sometimes the children singing isn't that good in the class. Maybe if they're in a choir, their singing is okay, but in the classroom setting, maybe they're not that great. So we do little vocal exercises. But what we want to do is to make sure that the children are enjoying the physicality of singing, and that nobody's saying, no, don't do it like that. We're just allowing the children to have ownership of this singing act. And I think it's good. Okay. And one little girl, I remember we were doing a song to the tune of Ali Bally Bee, and her words were, fishermen in the storm, they will need some comfort and warmth, hoping nothing will go wrong, they will make it to the morn. Nice. And
very nice.
Just a little girl, maybe she was the smallest person in the class, and I think it was primary 3, so she would have been about 7, maybe 6 or 7 actually. Can't quite remember the year, but that really touched me because I just thought it was really clever. We'd got to that stage, we'd all written the first 2 lines together, and then she just came out with the last 2 lines. And there are other situations in which we were working in Stonehaven last year, and I had said, why don't we make up a tune? And one little boy just started, la, 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 la. I can't remember exactly which song it was now, but I'll remember in a minute. It was a song that we wrote about. They had a terrible flood in Stonehaven, and yes, there was one little boy. We started off with a line, la 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 la, and then, without being asked to, this boy went, la 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 la, and then we did la 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 la, 3rd time, and then I said, oh, why don't we just finish it off by going la 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 la, because I wanted to give them a challenge on that last, and that was the tune. So he had, and that was that to me that was just gorgeous. Because he wasn't asked, but he couldn't stop himself. He was way out here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for this interview.
You're very welcome.